Auditor-General's in Parliament this week explaining what their office has found with regard to certain government departments. So, for example, the Home Affairs Department's not achieved its targets with regards to dealing with immigration, people coming into the country, people with scarce skills. The KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Treasury has been found to have not improved, while the Electoral Commission did manage to achieve another clean audit. Miyelani Holeni is the Group Chief Advisor at the Ntiyiso Consulting Group. Miyelani, good afternoon to you and thanks for your time. When a government department like Home Affairs isn't able to meet its targets, when it can't do what it said it would do, like in this case, manage the applications of people with scarce skills, what impact does that actually have on the country? I imagine this is one of those moments where if a government department fails in some way, it has a knock-on effect.
Absolutely. I think we must also appreciate the complexity as well as the security nature of a department such as Home Affairs, because that is where all of the records of incoming as well as domestic citizens must be processed. So when there are difficulties and challenges, I think one must also look back and understand what the difficulties could be, as well as what it poses from a security and a risk, point of view on the sovereign. So the issues, I think, in terms of, each one of the departments, especially the Home Affairs, as well as the other ones that hold, significant sway with regards to admitting as well as looking after the citizenry. So it is important that such departments are able to perform at the level that which they promised, because most of the departments contract on an annual basis for performance agreements, and those performance agreements are within their mandates. And those are the mandates that the expectation is that should be met with relative ease, given the capacity and the other issues that they have internally.
In the case of the KwaZulu-Natal provincial government, and I mean, this is a case where there was a sort of instruction that it must improve in one particular department, and it hasn't. The Auditor-General really has very little power here, doesn't she? I mean, she can order them to improve. She can't do much more than that.
So I think the issue that we quite welcome from the Auditor-General's point of view is that the audits that are being undertaken obviously are transparent, are open, and there is pre-audits that are supposed to be done. So then we need to go back and understand the audit plans which are being submitted from a provincial point of view per department, so that each and every department are properly contracted to be able to carry out the proper audits. So if a province or the entire province or some of the departments are not performing, then we go back to the accountability ecosystem that the Auditor-General has put forward, so eloquently annually. And the accountability ecosystem says, the accounting officers must be able to take accountability and drive each one of the requirements from an audit point of view, as well as ensuring that the material issues that must be managed, the record keeping that must be undertaken, the performance management plan that must be in place is obviously followed up on a quarterly basis to the extent to which it must be achieved. So I think we take a dim view of any of the national as well as the provincial departments that are not able to meet their mandates, because the departments from provincial as well as national, relatively with compared to the local government, the complexity tends to be different, as well as manageable from what they have to achieve, because they don't have necessarily always the customer facing side, which makes the complexity, or at least the delivery of services, much more unpalatable or difficult.
I mean, every time I hear the Auditor-General speak about what happens in local government, they always come back to the same thing: consequence management, and the lack of consequence management, which suggests that there's maybe some sort of political issue. I mean, is that a problem across government? That yes, I understand that, I've never been a money person, but I understand that managing this is difficult and technical, but there still needs to be consequence management. Is this a problem almost across government?
So I think what almost, and I perhaps, would put it in jest, but the AG could almost write some of the reports, with their eyes closed, because the issues that come through are repeat issues. And that is a concern that is being put forward, that where you have repeat issues annually running for more than 3 years, where the issues are not resolved, then you can understand that the systemic issues that are causing those issues not to be resolved must be much deeper than what meets the eye. So we go back, and the AG always talks about the issues of capacity, issues of capability, issues of accountability, as well as the consequences where errors or have been committed, or at least the mishaps have taken place. But those consequences must drive the change in behavior. So the issue is that we're not seeing a change in behavior. We're seeing the repeat issues coming through annually. But then again, if some of those issues recur, the Auditor General now has powers to also, if the issues are in criminal in nature, to also take them forward to other authorities so that those matters can be corrected. So the Auditor General, of course, can put out their opinions annually, but there is at least the powers or their extended powers that they have in place to be able to take some of the issues for prosecution or to the law enforcement agencies.
I suppose the question really is, can government manage money? And I've heard some people in government saying, look, it's actually too difficult to get a clean audit. We should make it easier. I mean, that may look better, but I don't think it would be better.
Well, government, I think, deals with billions of rands of money annually. And the expectation is that government must be the first one that at least becomes the standard. And I think I will also talk about, the national treasuries or the treasury departments within the national as well as the provincial. Those are the standard bearers that must be able to point a way for the other departments. And that is where the billions must be managed. Of course, you then have the structures from the departmental point of view with CFOs, and generally we tend to see that in provinces as well as national departments, the skills are at least available. You don't have a flight of skills like you'd have in local government. Of course, the issues of vacancies, that is a new issue that is creeping into the national side. So the inability then to manage means that, there are other problems that national as well as provincial must have solved. But government, of course, is not business, but the business of government is to be able to administrate as well as allocate and spend the money in the best way possible and be able to trace the impact. And where the impact is not traceable, that is where we start to have the issues. And of course, we need to look at the implementing departments that are implementing, which must be able to demonstrate that there's value for money in all of the work that they discharge in the different areas. So government, yes, should be able to manage money to the extent to which it has the impact on the citizenry as well as delivery of services across the country.
Miyelani Holeni, thank you. Group Chief Advisor at the Ntiyiso Consulting Group.